Good day, everyone. This is Meredith Leon McCormick for World Bride Magazine, another conversation with an expert. And we're going to spill some tea on how you can learn how to plan your wedding anywhere around the world. Today's guest is Nancy Barkley, founder of Honeymoons and Getaways. She is going to give us some tips and from her history of planning weddings, producing weddings, and travel at the same time. All the things that you might be considering for your upcoming wedding. Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm excited, and I'm so excited. So before we tell everyone that you are officially a guest editor for World Bride Magazine, I
Which,
want no, I totally adore you, and I want them to know who you are and your background and why we had to have you and why we feel honored to have you.
and the love is mutual. You represent everything that I have been doing, planning, and talking about around the world, literally. So thank you. My name is Nancy Barkley, and I am the owner and founder of Honeymoons and Getaways. I have been in the travel industry for 25 plus years. I really covered all facets of it. I started out in corporate American Express, and then I went to meeting and incentives, and then I actually was a BDM for corporate sales. So I had all of that started. And then in 2005, I started Honeymoons and Getaways for two reasons. One, corporate America did not work for me because at that time I had three small boys that I was raising, and all the moms out there know, the sports teams and the doctor's appointments don't jive with 9 to 5. They don't. So I started Honeymoons and Getaways.
Right.
And on a side note, at this point, I was an expert in travel because I had worked for all of the major large corporations and I did sales. But when you start, just because I was an expert in the travel industry does not mean that you know how to run a business. They're two separate things. So I
Absolutely.
did go to small business school to learn how to start a business because they're two separate, you need to be licensed, insured,
Yeah,
and
yeah, two separate hats you have to wear.
two separate. You're an expert in the business, but a business owner is, yeah, it's definitely two separate hats.
Okay.
But I did. So I didn't just start Honeymoons and Getaways. I took classes and then I started Honeymoons and Getaways. And I specialized in destination weddings. The
Mhm.
reason was my background was all in international travel
Mhm.
with meaning and incentives. And I know what it's like to bring large groups together. And I actually did the meetings incentives for a pharmaceutical company, and it was for their incentive sales. So everything had to be the best of the best,
Right.
which is really what you need to do for a destination wedding. You
Absolutely.
need to bring people together. It's global, they want everything perfect. So that's how I started.
That's amazing. And I love the fact that you recognize as a mom that you had to be there. So you were wearing more than just one hat. You're a
Mm,
mom, you're a wife, now you're a business owner, and
yes.
you're you're curating experiences for people in the most stressful and important time of their lives. So that's a lot to wear, to do, and a lot of hats to put on at the same time.
It
So
is.
bravo to you for that. So now that tells me, and I hope our readers and viewers see this, is that you're qualified. You know how to multitask, and you know, based on the experience, your corporate experience, how to facilitate and produce fantastic events based on your training at these corporate events and corporations and different things. Is that correct?
It is correct because yes, I did corporate international travel, but then when I got into meetings and incentives, it's a whole nother level of learning and training and really being organized and bringing everything together from the attendees to the vendors to, yes. So I really think that destination weddings and meeting and incentives complement each other that way.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. So now you're in the wedding space. And
Mhm.
so how what are some of the challenges that brides face in planning their destination, and what are some of the myths that they think they know or they think they could do on their own that you have had to face? You could just say two or three.
Oh my gosh. So destination weddings, first of all, they are challenging, especially if you're doing it internationally, because there's so many moving parts that need to come together with as far as the travel and the vendors and the hotels and the guests. So I don't want to say a myth, but I want to say more of a fact is a lot of people think, I'm going to do a destination wedding because it's going to be easier or more stress free. When I do destination weddings, I tell them that I'm going to take the stress away from them because the wedding planner really does wear all of the hats. But we really do. I mean, we are, putting everything together for you. I think a myth is that it's just going to be easier to
Right.
have a destination wedding. I do.
And I
I
think
think easier would be an elopement, but a destination wedding, having done them for so many years and having done so many of them, yeah, you really need to know what you're doing.
and that's the thing. So the other part that I don't think we mentioned was the fact that you're also a travel agent. So
Yes, I am.
you're not just a wedding planner, a
Right.
producer of international destination events, but you're a travel agent. So you have the capacity to find better rates. We're not talking about cheap. We're not talking about saving money. When you start producing and you're hiring a producer, a wedding planner, an event planner, it's not about cheaper. It's having someone that knows how to work within your budget and find you the best prices possible within your budget. Is that correct?
It's absolutely positively correct. It's quality, and it's also knowing I've been doing this for so long. I'm also a certified destination wedding planner, which it means that I have taken the classes to be able to say that. And I have attended so many different global events and have so many global connections. I cannot stress how important that is to
Mhm.
make sure you have global, local vendors. I really, if you're doing a wedding and you're in a different country, I've been there. I've attended them, and the locals know what they're doing. If something happens, because there's always something's going to happen. You know that whether you have a regular wedding or a destination wedding, you really need to know to have people there that are able to get things done. But also the local vendors just there are a lot of things. I mean, you use local vendors to support the economy, but also I really find them to have quality work, and especially when they're vetted and you're able to be able to just reach out to them and they'll get back to you right away.
And I love you made two very amazing points that's dear to our heart, especially when it comes to sustainability. And
Yes,
for me, sustainability is about supporting the community in which you're coming into, not taking resources out or bringing resources in or pillaging anywhere you go. What you do is you hire the locals that could work within your parameters and share with them the expectation. And that's why I tell people when we produce things and we work with other producers that number one, when you hire a wedding planner, that wedding planner has an extensive portfolio and contact list that you won't have. So trust them to reach out and see who they might know in whatever region. A good wedding planner, has contacts wherever it may be, whether it's Italy, Dubai, Florida, Chicago, Atlanta. And that's why we as World Bride Magazine, we travel so much as as editors, that we can physically go and meet with people and say, hey, we're there, we know the people we touched, we felt, we know what we're talking about when we recommend something in writing and in video. So that's part one that I love about what you said. And then the second part is about being working with the professional that knows what they're doing and that could call upon other professionals because they are qualified. They are
Yes,
qualified. So you're not only giving back to the community, but you're working with qualified white glove services that are equal to you, but they just happen to know the region. And it's unnecessary for you to import everyone, unless they're Ron Van Israel, of course, that's irreplaceable, you know.
right,
He
right.
himself will tell you, hey, there's some great local people in that region, hire them, you know. And I think that's the responsible thing to do. So thank you for that great point. um so the other thing that you know, the last point I'd really love to ask you about is, now that you're not only, you're still a mom, you never stop being a mom,
No,
you
no, you
know,
don't.
and your wife, how is it that you juggle everything, and how do you determine which clients you want to work with? Because just like they're interviewing you, um,
Yes.
you're interviewing them as well to see if it's a good fit. How do you go about picking the clients that you choose to work with?
I actually am upfront and I actually say to the client, when you're doing a destination wedding, you're usually starting at least a year out, that we're going to be in this together. So you need to like me as much as we need to all jive together, because weddings are personal. There's no way to get around that. So, I set up a meeting with them and I tell them, this is how we're going to be working. And, with your guest list, I'm going to be talking to your family and to your friends. And I really sit down and have a conversation with them to make sure it works for all of us. And I also manage expectations for destination weddings. Like I've been doing them for so long,
Love that.
here's really what's in it, because honestly, they're not for everybody. A lot of times people think they're wonderful, and you know, as many as I've done, oh, I want to get married in a castle, and it sounds wonderful. But then when you get down to logistics, and a lot of people don't see this, and you're putting like, okay, well, you're flying here, you're flying there, people are going to be flying 20 hours, and then they're like, oh, well, Aunt Sue's not going to fly that. So I have a whole setup, but I make sure that we're all comfortable together, because
Mhm.
you're involved. You're going to be like a family for at least a year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a long relationship with a complete stranger.
Yes, yeah, yes, it is. And then you get to know your family and friends, and I can tell you stories upon stories, but I just, yeah, I just
I can't wait to read some of your tidbits in our upcoming articles. Thank you so much. We already started on a good foot. You started at the top of the year with us, so thank you. And I look forward to you. Maybe we should have you take over our Instagram and just, giving tidbits to travel, couples that are thinking about having honeymoons and destination weddings, girls trip, because you do it all. You're a travel agent. You
And
do
I
it
also,
all.
I just want to also notice, and I can go on and on and on. I'm a global speaker. I started speaking about 10 years ago, and I've spoken globally. I mean, in Italy and Mexico and Greece. I speak
Guys.
to, I speak to clients. I speak to clients. I also speak to wedding planners.
Right.
I also moderate. Because we could have a whole hour video on cultural awareness,
Mhm.
and how when you're having destination weddings in other countries, it's their country, and to respect their culture,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
is my soapbox, which I have written articles on, which I have spoken on, which I
Mhm.
have, you need to be culturally aware. You need to hire the vendors that know the culture. But
Mhm.
yes, I have. I've talked to all audiences: wedding planners, travel agents, couples, parents.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's just that I've seen it all and I know all the moving parts. And if you're asking me one question, I'm already thinking down the line about,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm really excited. Thank you and welcome to the World Bride Magazine
Thank
editorial,
you.
Lily. And we can't wait to continue to share your wonderful information.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So guys, there you have it, Miss Nancy Barkley. Please take a look at her website. Please make sure you follow her on her personal Instagram. Nancy, can you tell us your personal Instagram and website?
Sure. If you go to my website, honeymoonsandgetaways.com, I have all my socials on there. I have my Instagram on there, my personal Facebook, my LinkedIn, so you'll be able to find it all in one spot.
Fantastic. So there you have it, guys. She said it for you directly. So until the next time, ciao bella.
Bye-bye.